Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the FPL Newbies. So, game week 2 is almost on the verge of finishing, but at the point we are recording this video, there is still one match left, which is Leicester City versus West Ham United. Now, due to some difficulties, we could not record this after the game week was completely over, but still, we decided that we had some really important points that we needed to finish and publish a video this week. So first of all, we'll be going through a watch list of the players who have performed really well for the past two game weeks and some that we need to consider bringing in for the future. Because now that we have, especially for people who have not used up their transfers, we have two transfers now. So naturally, with so many players performing well, we should be looking to get one in with the fixture changes in place too. And after that, we will also show our points. Of course, it won't be the complete points, but at least we will have an idea of the place we are in at the moment in terms of all the FPL managers. So starting off, we'll go with the man who was expected to be in our teams from game week 1, but unfortunately Rafa Benitez said that he had some injury. Now the thing is, he was not wrong. DCL still has an injury, but the thing is he can play with that injury. That's the thing. I mean, I saw in some training photos too that DCL was not wearing his proper boots and he was wearing those trainer boots. So everyone took him out at the last moment, but he has come and scored in two consecutive matches. He's also one of the top players uh, in terms of non-pin XG. So that's a great thing. I mean, he's only 8 million, and although he's not anymore, he has rose to 8.1, and with 14 points, 9 goal attempts, and 6 shots on the target, he's looking like a fantastic prospect, especially considering Everton's fixture done. I think up to game week 11 or 10, their fixture done is quite good, and I think they only face one of the big six teams, so that's also a positive side. I mean, Everton haven't looked solid defensively, but DCL started off just like he started last season. And with with Lukaku coming in, I know it has been a concern for most people that how are they going to bring him in, and they are trying to be ahead of the price change. But Lukaku, honestly, I think people can wait. He has he has tough fixtures, and compared to that, I think in terms of value, with the points that a player brings in, I think DCL will be better than Lukaku. And Everton's out of all the assets in Everton, DCL looks the best. Richarlison is okay, but he's kind of a hit and miss. And Dini has not performed well. I mean, he hasn't got any attacking returns too, and no one was banking on Everton for defensive returns, anyways. And the best thing is that DCL is also on penalty duties. With Sigurdsson out of the team, the fact that he's on penalty duties is just an added bonus. So, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, after that, in all those injury scare before the start of the season, it's normal that you want your first 11 to start from the first day itself of match day in FPL. So it's normal for people to panic transfer. Like we are amongst them who panic transferred them DCL out, and he's still playing with the injury. He's the only goal scoring outlet. As you said, Richarlison is not consistent, but DCL has been like scoring penalties or getting at the end of those long aerial balls and everything. So maybe Everton aren't like they are attacking well. They are defensively still vulnerable, but they're attacking well. Their midfield play is good, and DCL is still the only outlet for goals. And I am not sure whether I can still trust him to bring, provided that 8.1 is at this stage is not like if you are considering the likes of Lukaku in your team, then in that perspective you cannot afford DCL at the same time. You know, like you will want 7 or 7.5 striker to partner Lukaku or anything. So the thing is, Everton hasn't convinced me performance-wise. Yes, DCL has been hitting the net back-to-back in 2 matches, but I don't know. I have to see 2 or 3 matches more. Maybe yeah, maybe I will be losing on points. You can, and like people will say that that I am losing on points and stuff. But if I bring in him and it doesn't work, then it's like, and I miss out on Lukaku and Lukaku or any other informed striker now who is more expensive than DCL at this point. So that will be a loss for me. So I'm ready to take that risk. See out another maybe 1 or 2 matches, and if DCL shows that same level of consistency, then I'm definitely will consider him bringing in.
Yeah, I mean that's also a big fact. I don't think we can squeeze Lukaku and DCL together. I mean, theoretically we can, but it will also make other areas of the pitch weak.
Exactly.
One thing that I think people can consider is having DCL, because Lukaku faces Tottenham and City too. So, I mean, people are saying that against Tottenham, Chelsea will score easily, but Nuno has shown us how well he has organized this Tottenham defense. Yes, Tottenham have been kind of lucky to keep those clean sheets, and they have conceded a lot of shots, but I still think they're defensively one of the more solid teams. And I mean, same logic, the logic that you applied to DCL, I think can be applied for Lukaku too. I mean, it was a one game, and the fixtures are in favor of DCL. So I think one thing that people consider is bring DCL into your team in game week 3, and then switch
Yes.
out to Lukaku in game week 7
Yeah,
when
see,
he has those fixtures.
I will say Brighton and Burnley are very underrated in terms of defensive organization. I mean, they are well organized defensively, and with the kind of gameplay Everton are following, I don't know, it can be tough for them to break that defense. Like Burnley had shown resilience against Liverpool. Like the scoreline may show otherwise, but I have seen the game and Burnley were very good defensively. They kept Salah quiet. Yeah, so that's a big achievement, I will say, for a mid-table or a near bottom table club to keep those like world-class assets at in your like to keep them at bay and stopping them from cutting inside and scoring and everything. So Brighton and Burnley, like in on paper, they're easy fixture for a team like Everton or for a forward like DCL. But we have to consider that Burnley's and Graham last year, Graham Potter was very much appreciated for his defensive organizations against the top 16s, and Burnley are too. We have seen how good they can be on that day defensively. So it's not like maybe it's an unpopular opinion, but for me it's aren't like as favorable as people are thinking. I will say the Norwich fixture is very much favorable for DCL to score or Everton to get all 3 points in that match, because Norwich has been like, I know it's been 2 games, but for a promoted side they haven't shown that urge or resilience to stay in the Premier League. Maybe we have still 36 matches to go, but it's like Norwich, like how they started off 1 season before when they first got promoted. They are still the same Norwich I'm feeling, and they are very poor defensively. And yeah, the Aston Villa and Norwich defense haven't been the strongest. So I will say those two fixtures are much more favorable for DCL to score. And if I want to bring DCL, if I'm considering DCL, I will bring him after game week 4.
Okay, solid points there, and definitely, I mean, on paper, Brighton and Burnley may look good, but it is well possible that DCL may blank in those fixtures.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to the next player, and a very important player in terms of value, because all of us who are planning to bring Lukaku, they need a cheap midfielder who plays regularly and can also deliver this point. And I think Sar and Penrama are only those players, and Harrison too. But in these 2 matches, Harrison really hasn't shown that much of a promise that he can bring those points like he was doing previously. And yeah, Rafina is 6.5. We can squeeze it, but they're 5 million, 0.5 million cheaper. So, and Sar Other than the Tottenham, I think Wolves, Norwich, and Newcastle are favorable fixtures for him, especially after the Tottenham game. Sar can be that key um, to fit Lukaku in our team, and especially in the match, in the first match when Sar scored, that was of course a lucky goal. I mean, I don't think anyone expected Watford to score against Aston Villa. It was a huge deflection, but I mean, more than the goal threat, Sar had that assist potential. His XA is far better than his XG. And I saw that Watford were using their wings really well. And Sar would have got an assist too, but in the first match, but he was quite unfortunate. Dennis scored, but that was without Sar's assist. But Sar played well. I mean, he was on the counter, he looked deadly. And you at that price, at 6 million price, we can't really ask for more. Of course, he won't be a lethal player, but for value in terms of price, I will say in other options other than Ben Rama, I don't think anyone comes close to Sar if we want to fit Lukaku in our team. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing much more to say. Like, Sar is Watford's main player. Like, all the attacking goes through him. All those they rely on him for creativity, for an attacking outlet, and of course, like the numbers suggest that he is a very good differential as well as a cheap asset to bring in other superstars into the team like Lukaku, or if Kane at all goes to City, then you can also bring in Kane and everything. Like, yeah, and that should mean that you have to sacrifice one of those like those, like most of us have Salah and Bruno together in our team from the first day. Like, even if not everyone, then most of us have. So, like, if you want to bring in Lukaku, then you have to sacrifice one of them either. And I don't think people will be sacrificing Salah so easily. So it may be Bruno might get the axe very soon, provided that he didn't perform his at his best against Southampton. But it's also a tough choice, like Bruno and Salah, like they're so
They're the
much
main
proven.
penalty takers of that
Yeah,
team.
penalty takers, free kick takers, and you can say Trent takes free kicks in for Liverpool. But still, Salah sometimes when it's from the left side, he tries a shot from the indirect free kicks. So, and on top of that, they are proven. Like Bruno was the top FPL scoring player last year. Then Salah, like he's called the FPL king for a reason. So I don't think neither of them will be axed for Lukaku, who had just come in. Yeah, he scored a goal. Maybe he could have got more against Arsenal, but you have to see more. Like he has some tough fixtures ahead. So I don't think people will immediately consider bringing Lukaku in until and unless, like, if he scores like a goal or gets a couple of assists against City, like some sort of this kind of madness happens, then people will consider otherwise. But I think if someone has Salah and Bruno together in their team, I think they should stick with that. And if they at all bring Lukaku in, like if they're desperate for Lukaku, I think Sar is the go-to option because maybe Smith Rowe is another option who is like a starter at 5.5 and he plays in an attacking role. But Arsenal as a team aren't playing really well. We have seen the London Derby last evening and it wasn't their best at all. They weren't at their best. And even though Smith Rowe plays well, but he isn't getting the options to pass the ball to a striker, or other players feeding him the ball and creating those chances. And even if Smith Rowe is a good option, but I don't think the output will be the same as compared to Sar, who plays in a wing, and Watford are a good side. The loss against Brighton may just somehow creep doubts that Watford the first win was maybe a one hit kind of thing. But yeah, but like if people are desperate for Lukaku, they can bring San now. Or otherwise, if you want to consider Sar as a differential, I will say watch at least two more matches.
Yes, yes, definitely. I mean, talking about ESR, I also thought that it would be a fantastic aspect in terms of FPL, but that's the problem. I mean, they have so many players injured. I mean, their main players, Aubameyang and Lacazette, are sitting out injured. So he does not, like, he can't do it alone. And I mean, I know it was against Chelsea, and the Brentford loss was kind of surprising too. But I am still bullish on those Arsenal assets. I think
Yes,
they will come good, but
definitely.
at a later stage.
At a
And
later stage, yeah. When you know, they aren't at their best mentality too. Like they have like so many injuries, the morality is down. There's a negative atmosphere in the club, and I think until and unless those changes comes, no matter how many signings they make, it won't help them. They have to get back up on their feet. They don't have that European pressure this season, so they have plenty of time to come back into the league. Finish at a respectable position, go for those 3 points, take advantage of situations. They aren't bad, Arsenal, going forward. We have seen the first half, they weren't bad going forward, but that lack of decision making and clinical finishing is costing them, and at the back they are just a mess, complete mess. So after conceding one goal, they are kind of going down and not really coming back into the match anymore and causing a real threat. So that's the problem. Until and unless the score is nil-nil, they are trying, they're creating chances, their passing is good. But when they concede that one goal, it's like it's all over. The match is over. But you have to have that mentality to come back into the match, and that is lacking in Arsenal big time.
yes, yes, so true. Okay, moving on to next player, we have Greenwood. Now, Greenwood and Jota, as we said previously, also they were kind of in a similar position, same price, concerns over whether they will be starting, how much will they be rotated. But both have started and both have scored in both the matches. Now, I still think Greenwood is more nailed on than Jota, because Firmino is present, Firmino is fit, and I think it's only a matter of time till Firmino gets back into the team. I mean, I don't think Klopp trusts Jota, but I think like he will still prefer Firmino over him. So we will have to see. And Greenwood, why I think that he is more nailed on, mainly because Rashford is out and Martial is having a bad game. He has been out for so long. He's not performing well. And after Greenwood's performance, even if he doesn't play as a center forward, he is definitely going to play in the right or left wing. I mean, Sancho can also play in both wings. So Cavani has come on, so he will be the center forward. And the interesting fact about Greenwood is that his numbers are always so low. He does not get a lot of chances, just 3 shots on target and 2 goals. And that's the thing about Greenwood, he doesn't need a lot of chances. So the XG will always be low, but he will deliver on that XG. And even in terms of XA, his XA is more than XG, so he could have got some assists too, but Pogba did not finish his chances exactly. So that's the concern. And 8 goal attempts, 18 points. He has got all the bonus points too. So I mean, he's on that form right now that I think people can trust him to bring him in if they want in the future game weeks. I mean, I think United have great fixtures. Wolves might be a tricky one because we have seen Wolves both fixtures at first very low scoring, 1-0 and 1-0. They have lost both. So Wolves will be playing again a back five. So may not be the best fixture to bring him in. But Newcastle, yeah, definitely that's one to consider. And even West Ham United too. I mean, it's not like West Ham United have a good defense, but they don't play as defensive as Wolves. So I think he will still have those chances to score. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, looking at those fixtures, and if you compare how they played in the first two matches, I think Greenwood is one of the solid options if people have two transfers left, or even if they have to make one transfer. I will say bring in Greenwood because the form is in, and as you said, his expected number and his conversion rate is completely different. Like they're very contrasting. Their expecting rate is less, but his conversion rate is massive. So that is a big plus point, and he can finish from half chances also. He can finish from half chances. He creates. He has immense space. He gets behind the defense. He takes most shots for I think amongst everyone uh, towards the goal. And I think in comparison to Jota, yeah, you can say that Jota is starting now, and actually Firmino and Jota can together play. If Firmino plays as a attacking midfielder and Jota plays as a center forward, like both can be accommodated. But I think Jota's Greenwood's conversion rate is much better than Jota, and the fact is that United's only goal this in this match came from Greenwood, and he, even if like Cavani is not a player who will play 90 minutes, and I don't think he will be starting in the league. First of all, he will be starting in Champions League matches, and even if he's plays in the Premier League, he will come as a super sub or something like that. When Sancho starts, I don't think that will be a big problem. Then I think the Greenwood will shift accordingly to either center forward or left wing, as you said. So, and provided that Rashford's injury is like long term and we don't know when
Yeah, I
he
think
will.
he's out
Oh,
for I think at least 2 months.
2 months, so at least 2 months, so like there's a lot of matches in between. So, and if Greenwood keeps up his form, even if Rashford returns there, he shouldn't be benched if he keeps like scoring at this rate. So I think if I have to bring one of them, Jota or Greenwood, definitely it will be Greenwood. And with those fixtures, yeah, Wolves may be tricky, but Wolves doesn't convert their chances and they play a high line. They often get caught. And the fact is that Leicester match finished 1-0, and I think I mentioned it previously. Leicester, I think, missed a couple of
Yes.
chances. Harvey Barnes missed a chance and all. I think that score would have been easily gone to Leicester. Winning 2-1 or 3-1, easily it could have been, but it ended 1-0. It was completely contrasting scoreline comparing to the game that was played. So I think Wolves isn't a terrible fixture for Greenwood to score. The fact that he is the main goal scorer now for his team, and like a main striker, yeah, main center forward. He's either playing as a right wing or left wing or center forward. He can play any of those roles, and that is a big plus point. And with Newcastle, West Ham, Aston Villa, Newcastle, yeah, I mean that's predictable that United should like convincingly win against Newcastle. And West Ham defense, as you said, they play a very high line. So teams United plays very well against high line defenses. We have seen it, and it helps. So it will. He should be the one that should be transferred now.
Yeah, and I think the pressure will also be on United since they drew this first match and they are supposed to be title challengers. So Solskjaer, he may need to think of something, and United may put up a good performance. So yeah, it can happen. Okay, moving on to the fourth player of the watch list, and this is kind of an unexpected one, and I think people are talking about him more and more now. Now that Tottenham have kept 2 clean sheets in their first 2 matches, especially against City, and I know that they could have easily conceded in those 2 matches. I mean, Lord has got so many save points; he's easily the Martinez in this season. But then again, I mean, I thought that Nuno would take some time. We saw how good Wolves were a defensive side under him, but he did not need any time to gel his players together. And Romero is also not playing, the defender that they brought. So adding him to the mix, I think they will be even better. I mean, I have put Reguilon here only because I think he's the best attacking defender out of all the defenders that Tottenham have. I think the surprising thing is that Tanganga plays in the right back role instead of Doherty, who was a really popular player under Nuno. So I think any defensive asset of Spurs can be considered. Even Sanchez looks the more nailed on out of the center backs. I think if Romero comes, he will replace Tired. So in terms of Regulon, I know like his attacking outputs doesn't look too great. 0 goal attempts is not exactly concerning with the way Wolves are playing. Yes, Regulon does go forward, but that is only for the assets. So I won't look too much into the goal attempts. But other than that, especially the clean sheets, and we know his attacking potential and assist potential too. So I think the fact that many people had Target in their team, and now that Target has been replaced by Ashley Young, and Target's price dropped too. And if people are looking to bring a defender in the Tottenham, they can look at the defenders of Tottenham Hotspurs. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I've been following Sergio Reguilon from Real when he got promoted first time in Real Madrid. So, and he was good last season too. Maybe in and out under Jose Mourinho, but now I think he's a like a permanent starter under Nuno. And I don't think anyone is replacing his spot in the Premier League. So he's a very promising left back. I think he is very good going forward, and he also tracks backs well. And yeah, I mean, Tottenham defense isn't the most convincing if you ask me. But yeah, like they aren't playing bad and they kept clean sheet. They kept back-to-back clean sheet. Yeah, you can say that the Man City one was lucky one, or that Wolves didn't convert their chances. Like there will be those kind of like but ifs and buts. But the point being that Tottenham ultimately kept those clean sheets. That means they are compact defensive wise and they can actually keep those 1-0 leads now, which wasn't the case under Mourinho, as they conceded continuously last minute goals, and after that they again tried to score another goal and they couldn't do it, and in that way they dropped more points. So yeah, and what is Regulan's price? I distinctly don't
Regulon
remember.
is 5.5,
So
most
yeah,
probably, I think.
yeah, at 5.5, maybe there are better options, but considering his potential and numbers and everything, um, maybe he could be a good option. But with the fixture coming up, like he is good for the next two fixtures, Watford and Crystal Palace. You expect that if they can, Spurs can keep clean sheets against City and Wolves, then they should be keeping clean sheet against Watford and
And
Crystal
especially
Palace,
against Crystal Palace.
especially against Crystal Palace. Yeah, because their attacks hasn't been the best, obviously. And with again, like after game week 5, like Chelsea and Arsenal, that's a different question. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, but Chelsea against Chelsea, of course, that will be difficult
I,
for Spurs. Yeah,
I don't know why, but I think that the Chelsea's first game has nil written all over it. I mean, Chelsea play a back five. They kind of rely
yeah.
on the counter.
But the
Tottenham
thing is
also
that
rely on the counter. Yeah, yeah.
like
So,
they've developed their attack. Havertz
yeah.
is playing well. Lukaku, I mean, he's quality in the end. Like they paid 115 million for him. He is quality. He's better than Timo Werner any day. So he has goals in him. And with the fact that City almost scored against them against Spurs, and I don't think Lukaku going to miss those chances if he gets those same level of chances, because he is a clinical striker. He has such a good Premier League record. He also did well for Belgium as well as for Inter Milan, and maybe there's a that curse or that reputation that he doesn't do fare well against big teams and that stuff, but it can change any day. And the fact that he's developing day by day, uh, he has improved his first touch. He is good on the ball now. He drops back, helps in creating chances. And against Arsenal, like he was involved in almost every build-up. He is not only standing as a number 9 in front of the goal, he is dropping back and he is bullying defenders for fun. So I think that's one point to consider, that this Lukaku isn't the same as that Everton or Manchester United version of Lukaku, and that will be a very tricky fixture, I will say. I cannot convincingly say that it will be a Chelsea win, because Spurs actually are good in the midfield with Højbjerg playing as a pivot and everything. He has been good, and Spurs are very compact in the midfield area. So it's going to be a KG affair, of course. But for clean sheet points, I think regard
Watford and Crystal Palace are better.
yeah, definitely. And if people actually consider like seeing Spurs in the first two matches, if they're convinced that a Spurs defender will do good for their squad, I think Reguilon obviously is the go-to guy, because first of all, he's a left back and assists can come from him anytime. And second of all, a defender's clean sheet points are any day a bonus for any FPL side.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Okay, so moving on to the last slide where we have shown us our points. We have the we still have the, as we said in the beginning, the last match of this game week to conclude, and we also have the same players left to play. Now, as we predicted, this game week was not going to be a high scoring one like the previous one. Naturally, both the premiums who were flying high in game week one, both of them blanked. Thankfully, Bruno blanked because the people who had Bruno captain, I mean, if Bruno had scored, even though we had him in our team, if Bruno had scored, we would have lost rank because of those captaincy points. Other than that, I think like it was okay in terms of my team. I would say it was okay. Other than Salah and Bruno, no one really blanked. Mahrez was kind of lucky because he did not start, and but he still came on to score a goal. Shaw, I know many people are having their doubts over Shaw, but then again, I mean, the goals that United conceded, I mean, deflection against Fred, and that was a Eiling stunner, so not really at fault. I mean, Shaw still has those numbers. He's still on those set pieces. Nothing has changed, so I don't think anything. It's not too much concerning. So other than that, I think all the players have done well. The transfer that I am considering this week, since I have two free transfers, I'm not looking to use them. I use the both of them. I'm looking to shift Semicas out and bring Duffy in. Uh, Duffy was a 4 million defender, but his price rose last night and it became 4.1. So I'm waiting for Semicas to rise to 4.2 and uh, so that I can sell him for 4.1 and so that I don't lose any money in that process. Because I think Robertson is back and after all, the next fixture is against Chelsea. So I would have benched him anyways. And I have money in the bank. I have 0.5 million, but I don't want to bring a 4.5 million defender just at this moment, considering there are other options at 4 million. It's still a risk, but I'm willing to take it since there are too many premiums this season, and that 5 million saved will help me in that process. So, any particular transfers that you are looking into?
Definitely Greenwood. Like you have Greenwood, and I think that's the main difference between your points and my points. Like it's clearly visible. The Greenwood is the difference maker, and another one I will consider is a forward. I will be replacing Tony because I mean I expected that Crystal Palace might be that match he can actually show his potential, provided that he was the top scorer in Championship, but he actually plays a lot deeper. He helps in creating and stuff, and he doesn't go into the box that often. So I don't think at 6.5 he's the go-to option for a cheap center forward asset. And I think I need to replace him, but I'm still considering who to bring because Ings has some difficult fixtures ahead, and uh, DCL is like I want to see another match maybe at maximum. So it's a tough choice, but definitely I'm bringing Greenwood, and maybe the one player that will be going out from my squad. I don't know. Like Barnes is facing Norwich, I think next week.
Yes.
Yeah, and I first of all I thought that I will be getting rid of Barnes if he doesn't deliver today. But the fact that he's facing Norwich, and Norwich is a kind of a fixture you want to have maximum players against Norwich. So yeah, I don't think I'm getting rid of Barnes as of now. Defense, maybe I can downgrade Stones and make funds for a forward. That can be one option because Stones, I am like this is one miscalculation from my side because I thought that after those vacations and everything that he played Euro till the final, he may not start the first game at least, but I thought that he will be starting from the second match provided that he um, uh, signed a new 5-year contract, and Diaz and Stones will be the go-to centre back player in the Premier League. But as we saw, first match it was Ake who started, and second match it Laporte who partnered Diaz. So Diaz is nailed on. It was a no-brainer that Diaz will be nailed on, but it's kind of a surprise for me that Stones hasn't yet started a match, even being fully fit, and I think he's also training. So maybe he may start the third match against Arsenal, but at 5.5 he's taking up a lot of funds in my team, so I think bringing in a 4.1 a Duffy, or provided that I have Sanchez, I will still take the risk of bringing in Duffy in place of Stones, because at 4.1 starting defender, a scoring defender, he has a good scoring record before also. Like last season he went on loan and he wasn't a part of the Brighton team, but if he actually becomes an integral part again, then Duffy is a very good option to have at 4.1. And yeah, then that will open up a lot of funds for me. I already have 1.5 in my bank, so I can bring in a forward and a midfielder, a forward maybe next week, and a Greenwood for now, or I can bring in a forward now or bring Greenwood next week, depending upon like how Barnes and everyone
Barnes performs.
performs and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if Barnes scores today, and I hope he does, it is
Yes,
going to be really difficult to shift him out, considering he has Norwich in the next game.
exactly.
Also, the interesting fact about Tony is that, like the fact how we talked about Greenwood's underlying numbers. Now, there is always this thing about overperforming and underperforming your stats, your XG, your XA.
Yes.
Tony has far better XG than Greenwood. Tony even has far better XG than Ings. Ings has, I think, 0.2 XG, and still he has scored in consecutive matches. But one was through a penalty, and the second was through a brilliant
I mean,
bicycle kick.
second goal was not even a chance. I mean, we
Yeah,
cannot even call that half a chance. That was like individual brilliance. That was
exactly. And compared to that, I mean, Tony hasn't performed up to his XG.
exactly.
So, I mean, if Barnes doesn't score tonight, I think it's safer to keep Tony than Barnes, and Tony is
Yeah.
like cheaper too.
And one thing we haven't discussed, that Brentford defense too. I mean, David Raya
Yes,
has playing well, and like there are two good options from Brentford defense, Pinnock and Canos. Like Canos actually scored in
Canos
the.
is actually a midfielder. I
Oh,
also
okay.
didn't I also did not know that first, and I checked afterwards, and I was like, "What? Canos is a midfielder, but he plays in the wing back
Wing
position."
back position. So that's kind of upset.
But Pinnock,
Pinnock,
definitely a good choice.
yes.
So yeah, I think it's fine for today, and I mean, as we expected, it wasn't going to be that much of a great game week. As we can see, I mean, even with this points, we are both having a red arrow. So we'll be back again. Let's hope that next game week both the premiums can deliver. Thank you everyone for watching.
Thank you, guys.